DCM works. Tricks are for kids.
It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I'd done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as
It makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is
Because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Art for Artists podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. My name is David, DCM Creative Director, lead writer, joined as always by my co-host, Ben.
Hello.
What was that?
I don't know.
Just a new
Hello.
thing you're trying out?
Hello.
Hi. What's going on, man?
Not much.
Here to record. That's
Yep.
what's going on. And today we're talking about the genre of Kill Bill.
He wore black and I wore white. He would always win the fight. Bang, bang. He shot me down. Bang, bang. I hit the ground. Bang, bang. That awful sound. Bang, bang. My baby shot me down.
That's both
volumes.
Now, Kill Bill was one of those films that I saw at an age that was probably too...
Yo, yeah, exactly.
You know
Yeah,
what I
same. Yeah, I saw it way too early.
It falls in that category of like The Matrix and stuff like that, where
The film came out
probably
in like 2001,
yeah.
and then the second one the year after, or it might
Yeah.
have been 2001. It was pretty early.
I think it was 2001, and then the start of 2003 or 2000.
And I think I saw it in like 2006.
Yeah, on DVD for
Yeah,
sure.
when I was obscenely
Way too young.
to see it. I
Holy
would have
shit,
been about 12.
that first film is so violent.
Oh yeah,
I totally forgot.
yeah. It's
Like Jesus,
like the reason why the crazy 88 fight is in
You
black
got
and
that.
white
Mhm.
is because it didn't pass ratings boards with it being in color.
It doesn't fucking surprise me.
So he just made it black and white and kept it in.
I mean, they do a lot of that with shots where they, like those silhouette shots at the end of that fight as well.
Yeah, just
'Cause-
to obscure some of it. Yeah,
It's really clever how Tarantino kind of worked around those restraints to get that violence in there. But one of the reasons
Yeah.
the reason I wanted to rewatch it is last week we did Willy Wonka,
and you were just like, let's watch a bunch of older films.
and I was like, what if for a while we just did old stuff? Because I hate new things.
There's nothing new's coming out.
And we
so-
we didn't see like
Star
X-Men or I haven't seen Star Trek yet.
Yeah,
So when we get around to that, we'll see that.
but for now,
But for
it's
now,
the
it's
old
old stuff.
classic
So
month.
get ready for well, I guess it started with the thing
It's
with
just the classics.
the Advisory Boys. So it's
Yeah.
just the classic DC.
DCM
Art for Artists, just,
just
the
the
classics.
classics.
That's
Yep.
the new
That's
tagline
what we're doing.
for this month alone and this month only.
Probably a couple of months.
Probably a
to be
couple
honest.
months because there's fucking
Nothing-
sweet shit all coming
really
out.
not much coming out.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that I was super interested in looking at, particularly with the second film, is
Well, yeah, particularly once you watch both of them.
it's interesting. So Tarantino structurally always tends to go for a western of some kind. Like if you look at everything he's done,
Most of them are westerns. I think, to me, Tarantino is more like he's the Blizzard of filmmakers, or I guess Blizzard is
fuck does that
is
mean?
the video game designers, the Tarantino of game design.
Uh-huh.
In the sense that like he'll just take a genre, put a little spin on it, and then just release it as the best example of that genre.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like
Okay.
he's done.
Is that what Blizzard do?
Well, yeah, Blizzard just take like they
Okay.
make the best RTS.
Oh, okay.
They have the best card game.
Right.
They have the current best first person.
I do not
they-
believe you. I just not paying any attention.
Yeah, no, like he doesn't. He's not known for anything in particular, like any
just
genre
known
in
for being
particular.
good.
He's just known he's just known for taking something and making it the best it can be. He makes a lot of westerns though.
I mean, yeah, that's clearly his favorite genre. I mean,
Yeah.
like, because Django Unchained, we will eventually do an episode on that. Because that film is so
Literally
different.
was, yeah.
It's so different to Kill Bill, but it's still, like, it's very much stylistically similar. Like, it's got... So, obviously, the
Well, I
aesthetic
think Kill
is
Bill
different.
started his sort of modern era almost.
I
You
think
know, like
so,
if
yeah.
you look at his older films and then you compare them to his newer stuff, there's a slight difference. Like it's a lot less like they're easier to watch in a sense. You know, he does a lot less like time skips in newer films.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't get away from doing it in Kill Bill. At least Volume 1. Volume 2 it's a bit more linear. A lot more linear actually. But the thing I like about Kill Bill and the reason why I wanted to talk about the genre was the first two films, they came out like literally a year apart. They were obviously made at the same time, but they're so different in the way that they treat their subject matter and the way that they like what kind of cliches they have. Where the first film, Volume 1, is basically a Western set in Japan.
Yep.
And Volume 2 is basically like a wushu movie set in Texas.
Yep.
It's completely like completely flips the coin on
so
like
clever.
what it's meant to be. Like you expect the dumb wushu shit to be in the first one because they're in Japan.
Yep.
And there's none of it. Like
No.
absolutely none of it. Like you don't even see what's his name? The weird racist stereotype.
Mayfeng? No.
Key something. Anyway, you didn't even see him in the first one, but then in the second film, he's like a major character, and he's very racist, and it's like, holy fucking shit! Like, who is this guy? Like, I thought I was like, because I haven't seen much of Volume 2. I think I didn't see Volume 2 as a kid. I only saw it like later on. So Volume 2 to me is like a blur. Like I haven't actually seen one and then immediately seen the second one only until like last week, and I was like, wow, it's completely fucking different.
It's so different. And what's great though, I mean, this is an interesting thing, because what he's done is he sets up the premise in the first one, right, but tells a discrete story about her killing Lucy Liu's character. Like that's the story.
Yeah, and it's actually really smart because it fits the storyline better that she goes to Japan, gets the sword, recoups, and then kills the closest target, which is Lucy Liu, and then goes back to US.
Yep.
And then kills Copperhead.
Yeah.
And
so Bud,
then the others.
Yeah, it's like Bud.
Bud, Copperhead, there's Lucy Liu's character. The like North Carolina mountain snake is the poison chick.
Yeah.
And then she's the Black Viper, which
who gets killed at the start of the first one.
No. So Black Viper
Wait,
is
what? Who's the Black
so
Viper?
the bride is Black Viper.
No,
and
She's Black Mamba, isn't she?
Black Mamba, yeah. And Copperhead comments that why the fuck didn't Bill call her the Black
Yes.
Mamba? Makes sense, yeah. But it makes sense because the whole film is meant to be that story in Japan. Like the fight at the start of the film, which is the first thing that happens. Like the film goes from 0 to 100 like immediately. It's insane. It just comes out of nowhere, yeah.
So if you didn't know what you were watching,
You just like, what the fuck?
Wow,
Yeah.
it's like
It just starts.
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I think he does that time structure in the first film. Is you are just in the action immediately. Like you go from.
Well, you go from the Bang Bang song, which is all slow and emotional, and
great
the whole
song.
intro, you're like, wow, this is such, it's like a revenge story, and you're like, it's all sad, and then it just goes straight into a fight scene. You're like, oh, okay.
And I think that's super important from a genre perspective, well, particularly for like structurally, if you're gonna work in that Western genre, right? Like, and I mean that, like, okay, so the first film, it starts with the fight.
Yeah.
Before that, here's the bride, she's been wronged in some way, she's back for revenge, right?
Yeah.
She goes and she has this incredible confrontation, and then she doesn't kill the kid, right? She kills,
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't kill the kid, and that's really important, because that's, like, our first moment.
Not only says she doesn't kill the kid, she tells the kid, it's just like, in a few years, if you still feel wronged, you can come find me. And implies as just like, because she's seeking revenge, she's killing all the people that killed her baby, she thinks. Like, that's why she's going on that rampage. So she knows, like, she's not above the whole revenge killing thing, because she's doing it. So she's just like, I'm not going to tell you not to come kill me, because this is because it'll just be the same thing that I'm doing.
I didn't silence my phone, I'm sorry, guys.
And it would
amateur.
be, it would be hypocritical for her not to, and she's still reasonably, I guess, what's the word? Honorable.
Yeah, I mean, I think doing that makes her sympathetic immediately. If that hadn't happened, if she just walked away from the kid,
or if she just killed the mother in front of the kid,
well, then she'd be the villain of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's this kind of cause
and I mean they pull the whole Copperhead shot first idea with the reasoning why she ends up killing Copperhead in the first place with the gun inside of the fucking cereal box.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, like that comes out of nowhere.
That was just like, and then you go, okay, so clearly the bride is the one with the honor in this situation.
Yeah,
which is a classic Western.
Yeah, exactly. That's
it's like the bad guy draws before the other person's turned around. Like, it's just classic Western. And then What you don't expect is for the bride to just nail her in the fucking chest with a knife.
Yeah.
That's insane. And then it just keeps getting more insane.
Yeah.
And that structure of the first film is blow for blow a Western with some of Tarantino's twists on it.
Well, it
right?
is, because even when she goes to Hattori Hanzo to get the blade, and she's like, you know, it's super Japanese, you know, like katanas and all that dumb shit. It's like, Hattori Hanzo's basically the sheriff of the town.
And that scene
Like,
is the
that's
one
what
where,
he is. Like, he's not, you know, they haven't really made it, like, they do have some of, like, the wushu shit, but it's nowhere near the same levels as the second film. So, once, like, it's a weird thing where it's just, like, they have this setup, like, they could make this the most, like, you know, like, katana swinging bullshit, which it is, but, like, beyond that, like, they could make it the most sort of weird, like, outlandish, crazy thing with all these rituals and, like, honor among, like, samurai and stuff, but they just kind of play it chill.
Well, to me,
and
it's
just
like that.
play it sort of straight, and it makes it so much more grounded, which is why it feels so much more like a Western than what it almost has, like, what it's meant to be almost.
Because if you did, I think the reason that's interesting is what that to me is. That's like in a Western when the hero goes into, like, or the hero of the outlook goes into the bar, and, like, the bartender is like a retired cowboy or something, and the main character needs some guns to defend the town.
Yeah.
And the cowboy takes him into the back and pulls open this cupboard full of, like, pistols or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's exactly what it is.
It's that exact scene, and it works so well because...
And then he's like, oh, I want to take this one. It's just like, no, I've got a special one for you. And, you know, pulls
like-
out, like, the gun, you know, and it's like, that's the one. And you're like, fuck me.
And then Hanzo makes the sword, and that is so, like...
It's the old master coming out of
retirement to get... And I think it speaks volumes about the kind of person Bill is before even... Like, that's one of the things this film does really well.
You don't see Bill till the second film, really.
You don't physically see Bill till the second film, but he's characterized so strongly in the first one by his influence. And then when you do meet him, they're so dissonant. The image of, like, Bill of what you've invented, and then the image of him as, like, the father, like, or whatever.
You're like, what?
And that's so important because that you experience the same disconnect that the bride does, right? Like, Kiddo walks in and she's like, the fuck?
Yeah, she's like, what the
She has this moment where you're not sure if she's gonna, like, collapse crying or just shoot Bill in the head.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, I don't know what's about to happen, but something's about to happen. Right? So that...
Well, you know she's not going to kill Bill
I don't know.
in front of the kid.
I see, there's a part of me that's
because of the first film. Like, you know it's never going to happen. Like, she has...
there's a part of me that's like, what if she doesn't think it's her kid? Like, I don't know. Like, it...
Well, no, there's they play that whole, you know, like, the mother knows what her daughter's gonna, like, what her daughter looks like. It's just like that innate thing, which again plays into the whole bullshit wushu theme of the second film. Like, the second film starts off really, really odd compared to the rest of it, because it starts off with sort of a critique of how quote unquote ridiculous the first film is. When Bill's talking to what's the other dude, his brother, Bud.
Yeah.
When he's talking to him, he's like being really stern. It's just like, she's coming to kill us all. Like, she took out like whatever Lucy Liu's character is. I completely forgot. And the Crazy 88. And they do the whole joke where it's just like, is there actually 88 of them? It's just like, no, they just use that name to sound cool. Like, in the first film, they don't mention the fact that they only call the Crazy 88 because it sounds cool. They're just like, yeah, they're the Crazy 88. Like, that's who they are. Which is super, like, you know, it's like the gang of desperados.
Oh, yeah, it's like
they just have a cool name even though it doesn't suit at all.
Yeah.
So in the second film, they're like, yeah, like, you know, how ridiculous was that first film, eh?
And then
like,
Bud's
so silly.
Bud even it's like, yeah, well, I hawked my Hanzo sword.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like $250.
Like, they don't give a shit about any of it. So you're like, okay, this is getting, you know, it's in Texas, it's back in the US, maybe it's a bit less ridiculous. It's gonna be the gritty real one with guns, and it kind of is, but then it just takes this weird turn where, you know, she fucking punches, you know, she goes through the whole wushu shit where she gets trained by some mystical person and then punches her way through a coffin, which is ridiculous and completely impossible.
It's the best scene ever.
Oh yeah, it's
one
incredible.
of my favorite fucking scenes in any film.
It's just like, what the fuck?
It's this weird, like, Tarantino does this thing in the second film where you get, so, like, like, everything is ridiculous except for the things that aren't, and the things that aren't ridiculous are so grounded they're almost hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah, because you're like, really?
Like, the scene, like, every fight that takes place in that trailer is crazy, like, just brutal.
Oh yeah.
Like when Bud dies, you're like, okay, Jesus fuck, that's insane. But then when Kiddo goes in and she's fighting the poison chick, watching them try and fight, and they keep trying to draw the sword, and there's not enough room.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit funny, but it's like, okay, so this is not going to be one of those fights. And then they just go at each other. Like, it's fucking brutal. And then she fucking plucks out her eye, and it goes,
like
so it goes from being crazy brutal to like comical to like crazy brutal. Like, it's just this weird kind of dissonance thing. I don't know.
It bounces back and forth between being ridiculous and like legitimate. And they do like they have a lot less of the sort of like super weirdly superhero shit. Like in the first film, they have, you have the Crazy 88 fight, which is just full of just, like, wow, you can basically see the wires on that jump. Like, characters will just sort of hop and float.
Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon
and
kind of
it's
thing.
so on purpose.
Yeah, like hugely on purpose. But once, like, when you get to the second film, you're like, God, like that wasn't really anything. Like, that made sense.
Yeah.
Because in this one, you get stuff like the 5-palm hit exploding heart shit.
Yeah.
You get the truth serum. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, like, since when does Bill invent guns? And, like, since when was he a chemist making truth serums?
It's just such a great...
I don't
know. It's so cool.
He's such, like, a mad scientist villain. That,
the reason that only works because he's not insane. He's not just a psychopath. Like, one of the complaints that I, like... Because Steph and I, we have the other podcast that we do where we watch Smallville. And one of our biggest complaints is that the minute someone gets any power, they just go nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I think the reason that this, like, the second film works so well is that Bill isn't a villain. Right?
No.
Like, he's just a guy who was
who
doing a job, and he fucked
wasn't really
up.
a job. He was just... He got pissed. Like, it's literally just like...
He just got angry and made a bad call.
Yeah, like, he just got
He's
pissed.
been trying to fix it, basically, with, like, taking care of this kid, and you're like, okay, so he's not a monster. He just fucked up one time.
But, like, he knows that kiddo's gonna come kill him because that's what people do.
And that's what he trained her to do.
Yeah,
and that's
essentially.
the worst part of... Well, I think that's why that relationship's so interesting, and that's why you can't hate Bill. It's because you've been rooting for Kiddo, who's butchering people the whole film.
Just absolutely murdering people.
So the minute you meet Bill, who hasn't killed a single person on screen, he's taking care of this kid, and then she kills him, you feel the same kind of, like, weird regret / heartbreak / justification that Kiddo does when he dies.
Yeah.
You're like...
But, like, she doesn't really... Well, like, she wants to kill him.
She also doesn't really want to see him dead. I don't know, it's this weird... It's so clever.
Yeah, it's almost like she doesn't want to kill him because then she's like, well, then fucking my kid's gonna be real sad. But the kid knows. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, the kid isn't some dumb, naive, just, like, side plot. Like, the kid is fully aware of, like, killing people. And, like, she's totally okay with it.
She's across it all, because she's a person. She's not just a
because she was
kid.
grown up by, like, she was brought up by Bill. And Bill's the
Bill's
kind of person that would teach a kid that, yeah, I kill people. It's like,
That's what I
why?
do
It's
for
just
a
like, because
living.
I gotta do it. And
Gotta
she's
get
like,
that
alright.
dollar.
Yeah.
I also love that Bill is dressed like a cowboy at the end. He wears, like, a full-on cowboy, like, leather coat with, like,
he
leather
totally
shoulders.
is. Yeah.
And, like, he's got a bandolier belt with his gun or whatever.
That's because he lives in Texas.
Yeah. And it's just this, like, I don't know, like, it's just so... There's something about the way that they do... And then on the TV at the end as well, there's a fucking cowboy film on the TV in his apartment, like, or his house or whatever.
But then,
it's a
he keeps the Hattori Hanzo sword, like, on a
in the middle of the
pedestal in the
fucking
middle of the
mantelpiece.
room. Yeah, because it's, like, it's the most important thing in the world. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, there's just this weird, like, because it's a wushu film, that stuff is still in there, and, like, you get...
Well, I found, like, I really, really fucking loved because in the first film, like, they don't really, she goes to Hattori Hanzo, who just like, okay, I guess he makes swords, and the only real reference to that being a big deal is when Lucy... We really need to figure out who her character's name is. Lucy Liu's character is, like...
We'll just call her Lucy Liu.
We'll just call her Lucy Liu.
probably
That's
fine.
It's just what her name is, anyway.
We've
Yeah.
forgotten it was more than a day ago.
Yeah. So when she asks, just like, she's like, that's a nice blade you have, and Kiddo's just like, yeah, it's from Hattori Hanzo, and she, like, visibly looks like, she's like, oh, like intrigued. She's like, oh, and like, that's so subtle. But then in the second film, as soon as anyone mentions Hattori Hanzo, they're like, what? Like, it's such a bigger deal in the second film because they put so much emphasis on the Hattori Hanzo swords, and
Yeah.
when they're like, well, when he's just like, well, how good is the sword? It's just like, well, first you got to compare the Hattori Hanzo to literally every other sword that's being made, and then you can start talking about comparisons. And you're like, oh my god, it's like they're fucking Dragon Balls or something.
But
like,
then-
that's essentially what they are.
But that's such a great idea because they don't get used that much in the second film. Like,
They
that's
literally,
why...
yeah, they literally, no one dies at the hand of
no.
one of those blades.
You
Literally
expect,
no one.
Because like the
Like
expectation...
Buck gets killed by,
The
funnily
snake.
enough, Black Mamba,
Yeah.
which is a pretty interesting nod. What we don't really know what happens to the poison chick.
She presumably would die because she can't walk anywhere.
Yeah, she probably gets killed by the snake as well, to be honest. The snake
Yeah.
probably just bites her because there's something thrashing around. And Bill gets killed by fucking the 5-point palm
5-point
exploding heart technique. And it's like no one actually dies to this thing, which is such a big deal, whereas in the first, film,
like so many
a
people
lot of
get
people
butchered.
die at the hand of the sword.
And I think that's really important as a device because what it shows, I think, is like it's one of those things where it's another example of Tarantino recognizing and seeing the genre, like visibly seeing the genre that he's in.
Well, what it is I think it's sort of a comment on the whole, because there's a lot of sort of this like sort of discussion behind this idea of where in the US there's this huge emphasis on the gun being like a tool. Like in the US, like, you know, superheroes have guns. Well, not superheroes, bad example, but like heroes have guns.
Yeah, or your detectives and your
Yeah,
noir
like
films.
they have guns because they're a tool for defense. Whereas in Japan, you see a lot more of the sword, partly because they didn't really use guns, but because they see weapons more as like a part of the person, not just they see it like as an extension, basically. But what he's doing in Kill Bill Volume 1 is he's basically he's taking the sword, which is traditionally seen as like an extension of the body in Japanese culture.
Yeah.
And he's turning it more into a tool in the sense that
He turns it into
action,
a gun.
and he turns it into a gun, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the second film, he doesn't use the sword because that would be like using guns. And you don't use guns in wushu films. You use the extension of oneself or the things that you've learned.
Yeah, which in this case is
You know, plucking out the eyes, the
fuck
5 pound,
and the 1 inch punch. Or
yeah,
whatever.
and the breaking out of the thing, yeah.
You're so right though, like, and that's so clever because what you end up getting is you have these swords, like these fucking Hitari horns,
And I think
hands of blades.
well, actually, I think the biggest driving point to the sword being the gun is in the first film. You'll just see in Japan, characters, including Kiddo herself, but you'll see other people in the background just walking around with katanas strapped to them.
Well, she gets on a plane with a sword next to her.
Not only does she get into a plane with a sword next to her, there's when the camera's like zooming in from a side angle, there's actually a sword in the foreground that
well, the
someone
sword's
else
next
owns.
to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone just has a sword. In the same way that in a Western, everyone has a gun.
Yeah.
People just walk around with guns because you have to. It's your defense. And, you know, like, all the guys on their the Crazy 88 on their motorcycles, they all have their swords with them. Random people in the street will just have swords.
And that's so
It's-
like such an interesting.
It's such
commentary
a
on that
small,
genre.
yeah, like, they could have just done the funny juxtaposition of her walking around with the katana and everyone being like, oh, what is she doing? But they decided to make it normal because it's a Western, and walking around with a weapon, which in this case is the katana, is normal because you have to.
And if you're in America, walking around with a gun is not that unusual.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of like, and that I mean that.
And then the
inversion-
Crazy 88 fight is literally a tavern fight.
It's
It's in a nightclub.
it's in a nightclub
with rock and roll music being
Yeah.
performed by Japanese band.
Yeah.
And like, you know, people get thrown over banisters
Yeah.
and like through walls.
It's a fucking bar fight. Dude.
Someone falls into a puddle of water.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's the classic bar fight. You know, it's
Except there are people just getting their fucking limbs hacked off.
Oh yeah, like it's to the extreme.
it's-
Like
it'd
they
be
really
like-
they make it just so hammy.
It's just like if you and then you look at something like Django Unchained, where it's pretty much the same structure as the first Kill Bill, but he takes it the other direction, where he makes it so Western it's almost not real.
Yeah.
But this one is like, it's far enough away from being a Western that it comes back to being a Western.
Yeah, it's taking the ideas of a Western, but then applying them to something so ridiculous that it makes the part of it being a Western, like, sort of pop out and seem more legitimate. Because instead of just going, like, if it was set in, like, a Western setting, and there was an actual, like, tavern brawl where a character with, like, you know, a 6-round revolver killed 88 people, you'd be like, when do they reload? You know, it'd just be ridiculous. You'd just be like, this fight's fucking stupid. But because it's a katana, because it's a sword fight, which, you know, you're kind of used to this idea of like, oh, the good guy with the sword just cleaving through like hundreds of enemies because they're all fodder. It just makes more sense. You know, like it doesn't seem like
there's less dissonance there. 'Cause
yeah,
you've already
like
got those
it's not
expectations.
it's not like a, you know, Saving Private Ryan opening scene where it's, you know, it's the machine guns are just mowing down hundreds of people. Obviously, it's filmed differently, but like because it's not a gun, you don't have, especially as a Western audience, you don't have that sort of innate thing of someone mowing down people with a gun is a mass shooting, whereas someone is like a hero, like chopping people down with a sword. Is sort of just an action scene.
It's a different kind of... Well, you bring different things to that as a scene, right?
Well, that's why they don't give superheroes guns.
See, that to me is why I think Kiddo's such an interesting protagonist throughout both films, is that she isn't... She's one of those characters that is really not a good person. She's not even an anti-hero. She's just the person that we spend the most time with. And Tarantino makes her sympathetic, because in that Crazy 88 fight,
I think she makes us sympathetic because you're only really given the perspective of killing and revenge killing. Like, you're never really given any other... Like, they don't do any, like, cutaway things to other characters reacting to the situation of, like, Like, you don't see the aftermath of the Crazy 88 fight. It just skips away. Like, you don't see the news report of, like, hundreds of suited men seen walking around limbless in the streets of Japan. Like, you don't see that because it's not important. Because really, the Crazy 88 fight may as well not happen.
yes.
Like, it doesn't need to happen,
Because
really.
because the reason it happens is so that she can get to Lucy Liu and
The reason it happens is partly because they were just like, we just want to have a huge fight scene. Like, part of it is that, because they have the first bit, like, she technically kills the bodyguards. You know, she kills the kid with the spinny orb with the razor blade and the crazy schoolgirl thing.
That's insane, though.
That fight's ridiculous. And, like, she kills all the entourage. But then it's like...
Every other film would have stopped at that.
Every other film would have that and then would have them fight. But then they do the whole, did you think it was going to be that easy? And he's like, yeah, for a second I thought it would.
One of the best lines in film.
Well, I think my favorite part of that, like, bit where they're pouring in is that there's actually, like... It's actually just the same 8 people.
Yeah. Well,
From every direction, it's the same 8 people. And you start being like... You're like, oh, look, it's the bald, like, leader guy. Oh, look, it's him again from the other direction. Oh, wait, it's him again. So it's like
I think that's because it's from Kiddo's perspective. For her, they're all the same people in the same suit with the same sword, right?
And it's only really when she I think one of the coolest characterizations of her is where during the silhouette fight, when it's after the big main bit, where it's just like the one kid left. And she, like, chops his sword in half, which is super wanky.
Yeah.
But then she realizes it's just a school kid, so she fucking picks him up by
She spanks him with the sword.
She spanks him. It's just like, this is what you get for messing with Yakuzas. And it's like, go home to your mother. And he just, like, runs away.
That's such a clever moment.
Yeah, because it's like it shows again that she doesn't actually want to kill these people. She just wants to get to Lucy Liu.
She's there to do the thing that she's come to do. She's not there to cause people pain.
Which is the same reason why when Gogo, which is the bodyguard schoolgirl, when she's like coming down to attack her, she's just like, you don't have to listen to Lucy Liu, you can just go. Yeah,
she's like, you can walk away or whatever.
You can walk away.
But that idea of that scene where she chastises that school kid, that does a few things at once. Like, you get that strong characterization, but it also tells you just how good she is with that sword, right? She knows how to spank a kid with the sword and not cut him. That to me is like such a small...
I think another bit is where when she's like cutting the katana, that's like a power moment for the weapon.
Yeah.
That's like that's like shooting guns out of people's hands kind of thing. It's exactly what that is. That scene is just the whole, like, you shoot the gun out of their hand with your gun.
It's exactly that scene.
It's exactly that, where she's cutting the blade. Where it's showing, I have better skill because I can cut your sword and also my weapon's better.
But then to spank afterwards is such a clever juxtaposition because it's like,
just such a break from...
Here is this incredibly, like, devastating weapon, but also this is a world where this is just a kid and she has this kind of, at least some kind of a moral compass.
Yeah, she's just gonna spank him and give him a slap on the wrist and tell him to go home.
Because in a wushu film, if you spank someone with a sword, like, that would just never happen.
Well, you wouldn't spank people in the wushu because it's not. There's no comment.
But because it's a western, it's got that
It can have that tongue-in-cheek moment.
Yeah, and that happened. I mean, there's a great one of the best. I just love that whole sequence from start to when she kills Lucy Liu. But when they're in the snow and they're about to duke it out,
that is the scene where they're out in the thing, and instead of snow, it's real dusty. It's
yeah,
they're outside the tavern,
and they're ready to.
And
draw
they have
their
the
weapons.
standoff. That's
and there's this fucking moment where I can't think of what the line is, and I'm so annoyed that I can't. But they have the exchange about the Hitori, and Lucy Liu makes fun of Kiddo, and then Kiddo goes in and fucking does an amazing job, and then Lucy Liu's like, "I'm sorry I disrespected you," and they have this exchange. Then I can't remember exactly what's said, but it's one of those lines that when you hear it, you're like, "Wow, that's incredibly well written." It's they both say one thing. I don't know. It's one of those implied things where I think Lucy Liu starts saying something, and then Kiddo finishes it or something. Then they just go at each other.
Right.
And
did you watch the film with subtitles?
I watched it with non-English subtitles.
Right. I watched it with no subtitles.
See, that is almost more interesting.
It is really interesting because you're actually able... Because I went in, the film started, and I was just like, oh yeah, some parts of this are in Japanese. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch it with no subtitles because I'm pretty sure that's what it was like in cinemas.
Yeah, it was.
So I was like, I want to see what it's like. And it's actually really interesting because they slot in enough English...
that you can get it.
You can tell what... Yeah, like especially during the scene where they have where they're sort of showing how she became the mob boss, and they're at the meeting, and the guy pipes up because he doesn't believe that having
insane.
And in without subtitles, you still get the same thing because they open the scene with Kiddo saying there was only one time that it was brought up her heritage.
Her heritage,
yeah. And then it just cuts to the scene. It's all Japanese, and you're assuming that they're all celebrating something. You don't really care what. And then a bit later, it pans towards the guy who's looking really pissed off, and then Kiddo cuts in a bit and says this was the blah blah, sort of recontextualizes what's happening, and then he immediately sort of explodes. And you can without even knowing Japanese, you know exactly what he's saying. He's saying something along the lines of just I've had it with this. I don't believe we should be led by someone with such a shitty heritage, pig American, that shit.
Yeah.
And you just know, and the reactions from the other people is just what are you talking about? It's she got there fair and square. Who cares if she's American? She's our boss. And he's like, no, I don't believe it. And then she runs along and cuts his head off.
Fucking beheads him. It's
crazy. And then she sort of breaks into English for the last bit, which is great. Sort of for the people who aren't watching with subtitles.
But it's also great because it means that Sophie translates. It's a real power move as well. From
hearing. Yeah, when Sophie's translating, and she has that look on her face, it characterizes her really well, even though she gets literally no other dialogue apart from just generic wailing.
It's also Oren Ishii is Lucy Liu's name.
Oh yeah, Oren.
Yeah.
Another moment where they do sort of jumping back and forth between.
It took me forever to find that, by the way.
Oh, nice. Is when what's her name? Kiddo's finished killing off the Crazy 88. She makes that big spiel on top of the banister. That's all in Japanese. But then she ends it with, except for you, whatever the lawyer's name is, you can stay right here. And even from that, you know exactly that what she just said was along the lines of, go home and tend to your wounds and don't fucking follow this. Don't follow your leader again. That kind of thing where it's just I didn't actually want to kill all of you.
Well, the best part about that, when the Crazy 88 are dispensed, is she's like, you can go home now, but you leave your limbs that you've lost. They belong to me.
Is that essentially?
Yeah. She's like, I think it's you can crawl home or whatever and tend to your wounds, but leave the limbs that you've lost because I own them now, or something like that.
And then, except for you say,
yeah. Or Sophie or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and you pick that up even without having listened to the subtitles.
Yeah, because you can kind of work you can get it from the
context and the
cinematography. The writing's it's such a strength of the writing and the characterization that you can work it out.
Well, even part of it's just it's such a cliche kind of tropey moment where you can just kind of tell. You can tell she's making some speech about how you've all been bested and blah 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 because it's that moment. The camera angles are doing the thing.
Yeah, it's all happening.
She's lit in the right way, and then you're given the sort of the joke moments. It's except for you can stay right there, and it's that kind of it's that very tongue in cheek.
It's that Western thing that you can't do in a fucking wushu, and that's so like I don't know. That's and then you can do the ultra serious stuff in the wushu in the second one.
Yeah.
That ultra sincere stuff because it's like I don't know.
Because it's been juxtaposed in the first
Oh,
film.
it's just
you've gotten
so
the silly
clever.
out of the way. You can have some of the more serious, still kind of
silly, but in
but-
a serious way.
Yeah, like
those-
they can raise the stakes slightly.
And it's like they raise the stakes, but like it's less life and death than it was.
Yeah, it's
Like she
more
kills
just-
hundreds of people, but it's more about the personal because you've already got personal stakes in Kiddo. Then when you meet Kiddo's kid, you're like, oh shit, and it just ups the ante.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's one of those ones where Tarantino really fucking outdid himself, and I don't know that he hasn't really done anything in two parts since that has worked as well.
He hasn't done anything in two parts since.
And
I'm pretty sure that's his first. Pretty sure that's his only two-parter film.
I think it might be.
I don't think he's ever done.
No, I don't.
I mean,
think
we
so.
have this sort of the Hateful Eight and now the Magnificent Seven. I don't know if that's a two-parter.
I don't know.
But, I mean, we're having that coming out soon.
Wait,
so.
is Magnificent Seven Tarantino?
Yes.
Huh.
I believe so.
Interesting.
I may be wrong. I'm basing that off the fact that it's adjective number. And it's come out a couple years after the Hateful Eight.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it has the same... Well, it has Samuel L. Jackson.
See, I think it might have just been written by him. I don't think he's directing it.
Oh, he's...
Not sure.
Well, I heard from somewhere it was based on a book.
Yeah, I don't
Whereas
know.
the Hateful Eight is sort of standalone. Yeah,
I didn't see the Hateful Eight.
Yeah, neither.
Yeah,
I need to catch
whatever.
up.
Maybe we'll do that at some point because it's an old film.
Maybe. It's
who knows?
Tarantino. It's a good time.
Look, if you haven't seen Kill Bill, seriously, go watch it.
If you haven't seen Kill Bill, you need to watch all the Tarantino films.
Once
They're
again,
all a good
we've
time.
arrived at the part of the episode where if you've come this far, if the name is in the title of the episode, we're gonna spoil it. So.
Yeah,
But to be
spoiler
honest,
alert.
you can watch this film with being spoiled, and it's still incredibly enjoyable.
Oh yeah, like you can see all the fight scenes on their own. Like you can
Holy
see
crap.
you can see the short but amazing fight scene with Bill, which is amazingly choreographed. You can see
that like half
the
second.
chair, the chair fight. Yeah,
Jesus,
I love it.
that's clever.
You can see the stupid fight in the trailer with what's her name. Like you can see all the fights on their own, but like seeing
In
it,
context, it's
yeah,
so
seeing
impressive.
it and seeing the bits in between, which are really funny. It's just a good film.
I
It's
don't
a
know.
grand old time.
It's just go bloody get
a
a monster.
classic.
It's a
It's a
classic.
classic.
It's a
Yeah.
classic. We've always said that.
Yeah.
Look, Ben, where can people find us?
I don't know.
That's a good one. We're on Facebook, DCM Works Social. We're at Twitter at DCM_Works.
We're on YouTube.
We're on the
DCM.works.
DCM.Works. I have a new channel, The Antagonist. I do video essays.
video
It's real
stuff.
serious. It's good times.
Yeah.
Also, we do other things. We have the Let's Plays. DCM I Hate Pie. You can watch us play dumb games every day.
We play the dumb games.
Yeah, we do. We're on the Colby House channel. if
Playing
you wanna-
No Man's Sky.
Playing No Man's Sky. It's an okay time.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to help support the show, you can. We have a Patreon. It's in the show notes. Patreon.com/DCMWorks. You can just bloody chuck us $1, mate.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, don't. You know, it's your call. Whatever.
just throw it at the screen.
But
I'm sure we'll get it.
But if you were like, man, I'd love to spend some money, but probably get something in return instead of just David's
magical internet
instead of
points.
David's unending praise, and you were like, man, I'd love to spend that money specifically on a website. You can do that,
and a t-shirt specifically.
or specifically
Oh,
a T-shirt.
we're on the
I was doing
website
the
one.
website, but you can do
Okay.
the. Well, I guess you've done the.
Redbubble.com/people/GTM.
Yeah, that's fine. You can go buy a
Hover.com.
T-shirt.
Get a web domain.
But yeah, if you go to hover.com and you use our referral link, you can get $2 off a domain, buy or transfer a domain. It's real easy to use, which is good because the internet's a hard place for a kid.
David's a dum-dum.
And I'm a dumb idiot,
He needs,
and if
he needs
I
the
can
good
use
services.
it,
Yeah.
I need services that are so simple a child could do it.
Yeah,
and
like
Hover's got me covered.
Yeah.
They literally have a button when I go into my dashboard. They have a button which says "Pay for my bill," and it's really big, and I just click on it.
Oh,
and then it
that's
takes me
nice,
there.
yeah.
I'm like, yes, and it tells you how much it is next to it.
Yeah. And then PayPal One Touch does the rest for you.
Oh, it's PayPal One Touch is my fucking hero. Look,
Shout out to PayPal. Give us that sponsorship.
shout out to PayPal.
We'll
Give us
chill
that-
out hard.
Give us. Look, we really appreciate it if you want to help out the show and also get a sweet URL. URLs are pretty cheap, so it's a lot off when you think about it.
Yeah.
It helps out the fucking shit. We get a kickback. You get a thing that's cheaper. I can afford to eat for the week. It's a
Yep.
good time.
You get that $2 ramen.
That's it.
Yum yum.
There we go. We've
Alright.
sold out again for the week. If you guys want to fucking, I'm at DCM I Hate Pie.
I'm at Little Citrus.
We'll bloody see you next week.
Bloody goodbye.
Bye.
It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
from an outside perspective, that's weird as
It makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is
Because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of strips.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.